This is standard number 60, multiplying a monomial by a polynomial. If you remember from last video, monomial means one term, okay, and then a polynomial just means many terms. So we could have 2 terms, 3 terms, 4 terms, so on. Okay, so let's review the distributive property. Remember, for the distributive property, we were multiplying this number outside to everything in parentheses. So negative 2 times 3x would just give us a negative 6x, and then negative 2 times negative 7 would give us a positive 14. Okay, and then something with, a few more terms in parentheses, we would do the same exact thing though. 5 times 2x squared would give us 10x squared. 5 times negative 3x would give us a negative 15x, and then 5 times 1 would give us 5. Okay, so this is essentially what we're going to be doing. However, instead of just a number outside, we're going to have a term like 3x squared. Okay, so we're going to have to use some of the exponent rules that we have learned previously. Okay, so I'm going to use the distributive property, and I'm going to do negative 3x squared times 7x squared. Okay, so I'm going to multiply negative 3 times 7, which is going to give me a negative 21. And then I'm going to do this x squared times x squared, which, if you remember from our rules, x squared times x squared, I'm going to add my exponents to give me x to the 4th power. Okay, and then I'm going to do negative 3x squared times negative x. So if you remember, this negative x is like a negative 1x. So negative 3 times negative 1 is going to give me a positive 3. And then I have x squared times x to the 1st power. So if I add my exponents, 2 plus 1, that's going to give me x to the 3rd power. And then I still need to multiply to this last term, so negative 3x squared times 4. So I'm just going to do negative 3 times 4 to give me a negative 12. And then we're going to bring along that x squared since there's no x term here to multiply with. Okay, so similar example. We just have some different powers. Again, I'm still just going to use the distributive property. So I'm going to do negative 6d cubed times 3d to the 4th. So negative 6 times 3 is going to give me a negative 18. Okay, and then we're going to do d cubed times d to the 4th. So I'm going to add my exponents to give me d to the 7th power. Okay. Then I'm going to do a negative 6d cubed times negative 2d cubed. So negative 6 times negative 2, that's going to give me a positive 12. And then d cubed times d cubed, I'm going to add those exponents to give me d to the 6th power. Okay, and then negative 6d cubed times negative d. A negative times a negative is going to give me a positive 6. Okay, remember this d is raised to the 1st power. So I'm going to add those to give me d to the 4th. Okay, and then I'm going to do negative 6 times 9. So I'm going to get a negative 54. And then we can't forget our d cubed. Okay, there's no d to multiply here, so we just bring along that d cubed. Oops. All right, and then last example, example 3. This one's a little trickier. We have 2 different sets that we have to multiply to. Okay, so we're going to distribute twice, and then we're going to see if there's any like terms we can combine. So I'm going to multiply 2p times negative 4p squared. So 2 times negative 4, that's going to be a negative 8. This p is like to the 1st power, so p to the 1st power times p squared is going to give me p cubed. Okay, and then we're going to do 2p times 5p, and that's going to give me positive 10p. Again, that one's like to the 1st power, so I'm going to have squared. Okay, and then I also need to multiply this negative 5 here. Okay, use that subtraction sign there like a negative. So negative 5 times 2p squared, that's going to give me a negative 10p squared. Okay, and then negative 5 times 20 is going to give me a negative 100. Okay, so now I always want to see if there's like terms I can combine. So if you remember from the last video, like terms, they have to have the same exact variable and the same exponent. So notice here I have a positive 10p squared and a negative 10p squared. Those are like terms because they both have a p squared attached to them. Okay, so I have a positive 10 minus 10. So that's just going to give me 0. So I would have negative 8. Oops. I would have negative 8p, oops, negative 8p cubed, and then 10 minus 10, that's going to be 0p squared minus 100. Okay, we don't have to write the 0p squared, so I'm just going to have negative 8p cubed minus 100, and that is going to be my answer. Okay, so here are 2 problems for you to try. Make sure you attempt both of these and bring them tomorrow to class with any questions you may have.